Now the question is Restream going to work?
I'll check that.
Aha, so we are going live. Yes, yes.
Awesome, yay.
Oh, teamwork.
Yeah.
Do I just join yours then? How's that work?
All right, let's see. Let me hop on there.
It says you're streaming, so now the question is, do other people see it?
If we're streaming, if someone wants to send us a DM, that would be awesome.
Yes, send us a DM and let us know that this is working.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, because it's going through Restream, so I don't know if it's going to show up on your phone. Maybe it won't.
Right. Okay. Let me give it a shot through here.
Because it may not, but it should show that you're streaming somewhere, right? I mean, on the Restream, it says it's definitely streaming. So it says it's on your app. So I'm going to click view on Instagram and see what it shows me.
Awesome. Awesome. And I'll do the same.
Yep, there we are. There is our smiling faces.
Oh, really? Okay, that's amazing. And is that on?
This one is on YouTube. Let's see. And it's streaming on Facebook and YouTube. And it says it's streaming on Instagram, but I don't know how to view it.
Okay, awesome. Well, we'll just go with it. Let's see. Yeah, for some reason, when I hop onto another account, it's not popping up on the phone, but that's okay.
Yeah, it might just be because it only allows one stream. So like if you try to like log in on your phone, it won't work.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna look away from that. Okay, so we're live. It shows that we're live. So
okay, cool, awesome. Let's rock and roll. Sweet. Nina, thank you so much. Like, this is such a pleasure. Truly, I've been watching your stuff for a while. Like, I've followed you for some time, and I've always thought that the information that you've brought to the surface is just super on point and resonates deeply. And I'm just grateful to share this space with you and do this. This is awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for like bringing this up. And I'm so glad to connect with you and finally like, talk about everything and, see how it resonates with the collective.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Me too. And I think that, like, especially at these times, like now more than ever, as this energy continues to accelerate and as there's this very noticeable, very palpable, like ascension energy that everybody that even if you weren't aware of it, a couple years ago, at least like by this point, it's like something that you feel, so at these times, I just feel like it's so necessary for people like you, to be doing that, what you're doing by putting the word out there and like assisting people in understanding really what's going on. And something that I always have like comprehended is that the more people that you have sharing with you this information, like the more people you have to like bounce off, and the more you get to expand in it yourself, it just gives you like a greater pot of validity. And because some of these things you can question, you can question yourself with a lot of these feelings and emotions and oscillations in energy patterns and in everything. So it's really nice to know that people like you are out there being like, no, this is normal and this is what's going on and we're being guided. So
we are points. Our role on this earth is being points of validity. Okay, we are here to be a guiding light, but also to like let people know that you're not alone. Like we're with you. We're going through these things with you. We're experiencing these energies. And even if you're in the very basic, points of awakening where all you have a sense of like forbidding doom, or that's that survival instinct because change is on the horizon. And as humans, we are wired to have that like, well, change is bad, so it's bad. And so as you start ascending, you start realizing that change is actually really good, and that you are changing for the better. And that's not something to be afraid of, but it's something that enables you to be more powerful and to stand in your power. So
Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. I think that's so wise and necessary, to say the least. If that's cool with you, just for people that might not like 100% be aware of everything that we're about to dive into, would you mind telling us a little bit about just you and how you, for basically, I'll start with this, like, when did you know about your direct, you know, connection to the Andromedan DNA and that gene pool?
So I've always been awake. I was born with all of my reincarnation memories intact, which was really rough as a child, having these memories of being, tortured and murdered and different
Gosh.
incarnations. But it started, it's more, I guess a better question is, when did I start to notice that I had hybrid abilities? Because I always knew I was an alien. Even in our family, it's kind of like a joke. We all have gifts. And we just attribute it to the fact that like it was hereditary, like possibly either we were Ashkenazi because of the Jewish line on my mom's side, or the shamanistic Native American on my dad's side. We have a really interesting background genetically. Pretty much every major monarch is in my bloodline, which is really interesting. But all of those things made for a unique combination to allow me to incarnate as a child with these memories intact. And so when I was little, I always had gifts. I always knew I was not from this world. And I always knew that I wasn't human. But I got my soul in stages. And so I was born with one piece. And then at 9 years old, I got my second piece integrated. I almost died every time. So this is multiple times I had to die to get my soul back. I almost drowned on the beach. And then another piece was integrated. And then at 19, I also died 4 times on the way to the hospital. Heart had to restart, and I was integrated again. And I actually remember being dead and talking to Source and the Andromedan Council as well. And they were like, did you think it was going to be easy? And I remember saying, yeah, but it didn't have to be this hard. Like,
Right.
yeah. And I got that piece integrated, and I came back with even more memories. So this happened in stages. And so I always knew I always had gifts. I always knew I was different. But at each stage of my life, I got more and more bits of my soul integrated, and therefore more and more gifts and more in tune with my previous incarnations. And as Lyrian, Archangel, and then Andromedan was the last, most recent one.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's highly intense, to say the least, but also, like, as we were talking earlier while we were getting the chat ready and stuff, I was saying, like, what a strong soul, like what a tremendously powerful like being you are, to be able to not just like experience it and then block it out, but experience it and be aware of it, and like have these memories and have these flashbacks, and then have that reintegrated into the wholeness of who you are today. I think it's like tremendously honorable, to say the least. It's probably like the highest form of honor in the cosmos. It's like,
honor or not, it was rough. And I know that's why they did it in stages. If they had integrated all pieces of my soul at what time, I wouldn't have survived. It's just too much for the human body to handle, for sure. I have a lot of genetic quirks and things that I grew up that are genetically and scientifically proven, that go with being a hybrid soul, which is what I am. So all that means is that my previous incarnations have been integrated into my current incarnation. We are multi-dimensional beings, right? So the purpose of the time that we're in right now is to incarnate all those versions of ourselves. So all of the facets of our soul are integrating and merging so that we can be a complete, whole, multi-dimensional being existing on this multi-dimensional, new earth. So these new crystalline codes are being activated, and all of the junk DNA is being activated, and we're coming into our power, our memories, our shadows, everything is coming to the surface. So that's why it's a wild ride right now.
Right. It's like everything that has been dormant and everything that maybe has been too overly traumatic for us to, swallow, really, it's like it's now just like little by little kind of like popping up to the surface, because it's these things that obviously make us grow. It's these experiences that define what we are fully capable of as a soul in this avatar, in this experience. So I mean, it makes perfect sense when you actually think about it. And it's just crazy that it has to be so intense, I guess, but that's what it's about. I mean, that's,
And this is the gentle way, believe it or not, this is the gentle way, because, right. If you look at the evolution of humans over time, we're just now getting to a point where our frequency and our vibrations are high enough that we can even entertain these ideas of right. ascending as a collective and, embodying our 12 crystalline DNA, like before it just, humanity was not ready. And it's been proven
that's
time.
Right.
So.
That's absolutely right. Oh, wow. Wow. And then something else that I kind of wanted to dive into is if you feel comfortable sharing, like what were some of the personal experiences, and I'm not necessarily talking about like the importance of meeting with the council and stuff, but which I definitely, if that's cool with you, want to dive into it a little bit, but what are some of the personal experiences that you had with these other, with, for example, the council and any other galactic family that is assisting us in this ascension process? Like how did those meetings come about? How did that introduction, how was that introduced to you?
Okay. So ever since I was little, like I said, it started as a progression. So my most recent incarnation was an archangel. I'd ascended to that 12 being. And so when I was a child, the interactions I had were with the archangel, specifically Michael. And then I was given a blue ray flame of protection, and that enabled me to have protection from interdimensional beings. And then as I got older, then integrated the Lyrian connection, which was also a previous life before the archangel. And so I met and realized that I was Bassett in a previous incarnation. And I had my twin sister Sukmet, and that's where I got all of my Lyrian cat gifts and abilities. And then as I got older, then I started making connections with actual other extraterrestrials, like the Greys, like the Andromedans. And wow. I had like UFOs. I lived in New Mexico and I had UFOs. I have videos on my YouTube of UFOs following me around. So yeah, I definitely have had connections with them. But then in astro traveling, as I developed my ability to astro travel awake as well as asleep, I was able to actually find myself in the Andromedan Council. And then I was integrated and was told that actually I sat in the council, and I'd been doing this apparently my whole entire life, but they didn't let me remember until I would say with the last 5 years. So yeah. So then I started remembering what my position was, what I was doing, and I was doing missions and not really realizing like that I was working with real people in the 3D, but in the 5D, which is why I know Ishmael Perez. We knew each other in the 5D. And the same with Natalie. She found me, we knew each other in the 5D, and then she found me in the 3D. And we recognized each other. We're like, oh my God, it's you. Like, we've been doing work together and not even known that, you're a person on this planet sharing this space with me. And she lives in Canada, And so, so it's really cool. You just, now is a time of remembrance. We're finding our soul tribe again, and you're going to start to put those pieces together. So for me, sitting in the council, making decisions, even my mom has had dreams. She's like, I walk in, you're on a spaceship and you're surrounded by a bunch of people, and you're making experiments and doing, making decisions for things. And she's like, I have no idea what you're doing, but you always look at me and say, hey, just keep your 3D mind in check. This is not 3D. Don't look at it with 3D eyes. So basically within the last 5 years is when I started doing missions for the Andromedan Council, working with the Galactic Federation of Light.
once again, like what it's an honor, but at the same time, I know that that's like the soul path. So it's like, it's not some, it's like what I feel graced.
I I look at it like this. It's like I'm like a sign on the side of the road telling you like where to go. Like that's it.
No, that's amazing. And these meetings are, I took from that, they're non-physical, right?
Yeah.
They're okay. Right.
Yeah, so they are non-physical. Depending on if I'm astral traveling while I'm awake or if I'm asleep. When I'm asleep, it's way more, vivid. But even when I'm like awake, I still visually see it, and I still, hear it mentally. And I'll be driving down the road sometime, and there'll be like a tower on Jupiter that is this energy tower that needs help, and it's like not capturing energy from the sun very well. So I'm like driving in traffic, and I have to like do light language and like mentally like fix this, and like Natalie will get called in, and then we're doing stuff, and then she'll call me afterward, and she's like, did you feel that? And I'm like, yeah, I just helped with that tower. And she's like, yeah, me too. And it's crazy, but it's happening, it's real. So
No, that's amazing. And like, I'm glad you brought up the light language, because that was something else I wanted to touch in with you. I just, sorry, when I look down, I'm looking at my notes. Yeah, like what, okay, so we've seen, obviously there's some really talented and skilled people that speak like language. They like can show it with their hands, and others, all these different forms and stuff. How do you share your light language? And then in that sense also, what is like, when I ask like what is what are the intentions behind the light? Obviously all intentions are different, it depends on what you set it to be, but like when you're working on, for example, this tower, right, and then you start speaking your light language, does that send like like a vibration, like a frequency, to then fix it and become somewhat like the mold that it needs? Or like, how does that work?
For me personally, my because I'm Andromedan, they are very much with the hand signals, is the hand like movements and stuff. So I'm actually physically manipulating energy when I do that, and setting grid work and transmuting. And so when I was working specifically with the tower, I was actually fixing the energy, because it was like, without getting too technical, because most of this is consciousness technology, it's like fixing, a broken blood vessel or something. You're fixing the connection of energy, and then you're making sure it's one closed circuit, that it's all working, but none of the energy is leaking. So I'm literally fixing and manipulating the energy in the 5D. And then also the light language helps send the code. So it creates the vibration, right? Frequency, vibration. And so that's how it sends it, to where it needs to go. So I create kind of like a wormhole in my mind's eye to where I'm going, and I send those codes and the light language through that to where it needs to go. But that's one example. When I'm doing it for the collective, I'm transmuting energy, I'm closing timelines. That's physically what I'm doing. And
Right.
so when I was younger, before I knew what the name of it was, because nobody else was doing this.
Totally.
Nobody knew what light language was. So me being like the raver kid that I was a glover and a light stick. So I would use and manipulate light that way. And I was creating all different codes and everything, and not realizing that what I was doing was transmuting for our little collective, and everybody would just get this buzz and just be so happy and so like connected and heart-centered. And that's what it was. I just didn't have a name for it.
That's amazing. And how perfect that you're working literally with lights, like
exactly.
It's like, the universe always speaks in, like it always mimics, like what's actually going on in the non-physical, and mimics in the physical. And it has these little jokes. We're like, well, you're going to work with light gloves.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's just like, if you think about going through the densities, right? As you get more and more dense, you're taking light in shapes, and then you're making it light in shapes on your hands.
That's
and,
right.
And so it makes perfect sense, actually.
It makes perfect sense. It really does. It's like, That's so cool. And that just like came natural to you. That was something you just got into and
I
like
was
just
so drawn to the scene, to making music, to EDM, and because there's something about the frequency, and I liked down tempo and like alien bass.
very cool.
I was drawn towards that, ironically, not ironically.
Right.
And so I really liked the way that you could use that to almost send yourself to different worlds if you did it
Right.
correctly. And so, yeah, I was drawn to that scene. Now I know why, you know.
That's amazing. Wow. And then like feeding off the same energy of like the, that light language just flowing through you, that is also a form of channeling, right?
Oh, it
Like
absolutely is.
channeling energy. So you I know that you work with a lot of different like channeled energies, and like that's just something that flows naturally and freely like to you and through you. Like what are some of the more prominent energies that you channel?
So I definitely channel all of my previous incarnations. So Pleiadian, Andromedan, Lyrian, Archangel. Also, actually get Blue Avian. The Blue Avian and the Archangels are very similar in frequency. They're both interdimensional, highly developed beings,
Wow.
and they're very close kinship together. So definitely the Blue Avians. Who else? I know I'm missing the Speakins, Procyon. Yeah, I would say those are the main ones. Our
Beautiful.
Turians, I don't really channel as much. I get information from them, but I don't channel the light language yet. But I have a feeling that's coming. So
That's amazing. And do you ever have like maybe a couple different energies trying to get in simultaneously? Like, is that ever a thing? Or when you feel the calling, it's just you feel it and you channel, you open up and it dials in.
I would say the closest experience, the only time I've had that happen was this previous meditation, the 4-4. We had some negative energies that were entering. And so all three of us were just called to focus and close those negative timelines. And I had archangels were in my ear, and the blue avians and the andromedans, and they were not happy. And then
Right.
we had to like fix all that. And so I wouldn't say they were pushing and shoving to get to the front, but they were definitely a little bit more insistent than they had been in the past. But they're
Right.
always super respectful of each other. Like they're just so pure love. Like
Oh,
yeah.
of course. Of course. And yeah, speak about the meditations. I mean, and I think we all, anybody that is participating in them understands the importance of, why at this time. But I want to hear maybe in like your words, your just like beautifully spoken words and the way that you just deliver this information. Like, why is it so important that we are having these mass meditations, which is now bi-monthly, which I'm so excited about. I think that's the coolest thing and definitely necessary. This increased momentum is absolutely necessary in my opinion. But yeah, why right now? Why hasn't this been around for, the last, I mean, gosh, how crazy hard is it to think about doing like, a collective meditation, getting a bunch of people together? It has nothing to do with the effort. It has to do with the timing and all that. So like, why right now, in your words?
So I tried this in 2012, and people were just not having it. They were just like not on board, and people were not ready.
Right.
But as the solar cycle picked up and more, solar downloads and solar flares started happening, and as time started progressively and exponentially increasing, we're literally at about an 8-hour day right now. So as we reach closer towards that singularity event, you're going to find that everything is speeding up exponentially too, right? So
Right.
now those solar downloads, which are activating the crystalline DNA, well, that's activating it. But now what do you do with it? So you need to integrate it. You need to continue to like amplify it, and you need to put it to good work. So in order to do that, we're going to do the meditation using the Maharishi effect, right?
Yes.
Which you have a certain percentage of the population, and we only needed 9,630, and that would affect for 8 billion people. Well, we reached that well over that the first time. And the second time we had each group reached well over that independently. And this third time, it was like 12,000 something just for our side, not even counting the other side. So, I mean, it's just growing exponentially. And as we continue to do that, we're shifting faster and faster. And so you're going to actually perceive in the 3D these giant leaps forward, sometimes even perceiving the old timeline, but their timeline doesn't even affect you anymore. Like you can physically see the changes. Like you hear about, oh, this storm here, but you're outside and like, there's no storm. What are they talking about?
That's
and
right.
that it's happening like that for everyone. And yeah, I can see it every day. And I get so many comments and messages about it happening. And that's what's, going on. So as we're shifting in that newer, higher timeline, those old timelines will eventually close and then it join the main timeline and will continue progressively forward. So it's important that we do this because we need to anchor in the codes. We need to do the grid work, right? We're star seeds. We do that. Even if you don't know you're transmuting, even if you don't know you're doing grid work, you are. And you're a vital, crucial, integral part of these meditations, helping the collective ascend.
Right. This is the real work, sister. This is truly what we, incarnated on this planet at this time for. This is why we are here. I mean, when you put in perspective, the importance of, showing up to your day job if you work one, or, just for someone that's, that's like, oh, I need to eat food and I need to make money. And that like level of importance that you feel to be like, oh, well, I need to make sure that I'm providing for myself. This is like infinitely more important. Obviously, we all need food and we all need resources, but get into this state of consciousness and those food and those resources and everything else just really does come. And I think that knowing that we are being called to acting on, a soul level, to acting on the purpose, on the greater purpose, the grander purpose, especially before this grand solar flash, like before we like really have that full-blown integration. This is truly the work. I was quite redundant in saying that it's the work.
Is actually going to create that abundance for everybody. That part where, that timeline that we're creating, it just completely makes the rest obsolete. We don't need to worry about all of those other things. So if you focus too much on those day-to-day survival things instead of letting go and trusting in the universe, trusting in, the process, then you're going to get stuck in staying as a cog in a wheel in a machine that's not working for you, And I think it was, I didn't even know, I brought the idea up to Jane about doing a collective meditation. I didn't even know Ishmael at the time. And Ishmael was doing the same thing because we're all getting that call, that we need to do something now. It's time. Like it's enough, okay, we've acclimated enough. It's time to start doing something about it, And this is a spiritual war. So we've got to do it in the way that we can.
100%. Well said. Yeah, back in was it like 2016? I think maybe it was 2000. No, it was earlier than that. It was like 2014, 2015. I tried like putting on little like group meditations down at the lake where I used to live. I'd moved areas since then, but I remember I was like really pumped and trying to put this thing on, and like I was so grateful that like 2 or 3 people showed up. I was so happy, but it's so fascinating to see how that acceleration of energy really has taken on a life of its own. Like now you do something like that and there's going to be, a lot more people that are feeling called to participating in it. They get the download, they open their phone and it's just right there, or they somehow are like, they're told to check something or look at something, and that also, those alignments have been happening now more than ever for me personally, and just like other people in my family and people that we talk to. Like it was so cool. I didn't know that Billy Carson was going to be speaking at the Parapod Festival in Valencia Valencia is not very far away from my home, and I literally the night before, just no idea, and it was totally just like one of those divine, like, you got to go to this, like, you got to check it out. And I was listening to a podcast where it came up, and it was like, oh, if you want to, and it was for somebody else actually. And then I didn't even know Billy Carson was going to be there, and here he is. And I love Billy Carson. I think he's awesome. Yeah, so it was just so, the information was just fantastic, and the people, the energy, just the whole collective consciousness. What I'm getting at is, when we are open to it and we're ready for it, obviously the classic, it appears, or it shows us that we can take the action to put ourselves there. Yeah. So I really do feel like these global meditation groups are they've already happened, like it's already done. It's just a matter of kind of filling in that vibrational potential on that timeline, and then really like writing it out as much as we can, and staying in that light, staying in your alignment, and like you said, working those tools. Like, right, you get the downloads, you experience the upgrades, but then what do you do with it? It's
solved the number one problem. The number one problem was people were like, I'm one person, what can I do?
Right.
You can join us. You can join us and meditate, and you don't got to do anything. You don't got to go anywhere except be and meditate and just really manifest your highest timeline. And yes, that's literally it. And embody that and just be it. And abundance will come, law of attraction, manifestation, all of that will align divinely. And it's happened. It happened already. So
absolutely, 100%. It is happening, and it's already happened.
Exactly.
Wow. Yeah. Mina, you're awesome. This is really fun. And I know we've been doing this for a little over half an hour, but I wanted to maybe throw you like one more question, or just like dive a little bit with this one, if that's cool with you. I honor your time. I don't want to.
I'm okay, because I think we have some questions to get to too, and I want to make sure they're heard. And
perfect. Yeah, perfect. That's you know what? I have them right here, actually. Thank you. Give me 1 second. Well, I was never good at being able to like talk to someone and like look at something simultaneously. So I feel so weird. I'm live, but I'm like looking down.
Yeah,
here we go.
I can multitask in a multitude of ways, but when it comes to like typing and talking at the same time, forget
it. That's right. Okay, awesome. Oh, Jane's the best. Thank you. So I'm going to read off Jane's suggestion here. And thank you so much, Jane. If you're on here, we love you so much. You're the best. Mwah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Can you please address the Galactic Federation and if they are compromised or not? Are there really bases? Yes. So, okay. Sorry. Can you please address the Galactic Federation if they're compromised or not? Is there a way that someone can find out which star system they are from? And then, do we know of any bases?
Okay. So, yeah, there is a lot of different bases with the Galactic Federation. As for them being on Earth, no. There aren't bases from the Galactic Federation on Earth. There are many out in the galaxy. Actually, they're the Great Attractor, the Shapely Attractor, the Great, the Super Galactic Center. These are all places, if you're into astronomy, you will know what these are. But that's where the bases are. There is a big base in Jupiter. So yeah, those are the bases for the Galactic Federation. As for the first point, so what happens, how I describe it is that as people are awakening, if people have had gifts their whole life and they don't have the protections in place, one, because they've gotten infected by either calcification of their pineal gland or, poisons from, all of these poisons were created by the government for starseeds, not by the government, more like the NAA, the negative alien agenda, to dull down the senses of starseeds and to make us unable to, access our gifts. So having said that, sometimes people, it's like this, there's a filter sometimes that people have, and everybody's getting the same truth, okay? But then sometimes it passes through a filter that they have or an implant. And that negatively, it skews the information a bit. So it's still the truth, but then it comes out a little distorted. Like the frequency is a little off. So what happens with that is that people get on these negative entity timelines and get kind of infected with them. And so like the AI Arkan timeline where they see things, everything is fearful,
Right.
everything is going to get you. So that's that negative kind of AI Arkan timeline. And it's not to say that there aren't, forces out there, but you have to remember you are divinely protected. And, starseeds come with a multitude of protections that were given to us. One of them being e-armor, energetic armor. It's a field around us. Now, the only way that you can have a affliction with an entity is with consent. And consent is key. You can even just offering your hand to somebody who's infected counts as consent.
Wow.
And you have to be really careful with your energy. You have to use discernment and just know that anything that leads from love it's good. You're groovy. Anything that goes from fear is just it's taking you down the wrong path. So with that being said, there is a version, I think, that was imitated by the AI Arkan timeline. But remember, if you think it, you create it.
Right. Absolutely.
So if focus on the positive and then just create and manifest that. So that's all I'm going to say about it.
No, I love that. And I truly, I don't think there's better advice out there, especially at this time. They're trying so hard. It's crazy. They are guns blazing, trying everything they can, all the stops, all the mongers. And if you aren't aware of how much, it's been designed to trigger fear, if you're just like a passive observer and not really doing the inner work, and it's very easy. I mean, a lot of loved ones from family members from older generations and stuff like that, I will talk to them and they're so consumed with these things, and oh, did you hear about this coming out and this, and I just can't participate in it. What I do say is same with you, is what you focus on is what you get. Obviously, we're magnetic beings. Like, there are timelines, and then I start going there, and then sometimes I get glazed eyes and stuff. But
yeah,
whatever, at least we're putting it out there. That's the least that we could do, to not speak the heart's truth is to only, and to hold back is as equal as, participating in what you don't believe in. You know what I mean? So
be authentic to yourself and
right.
try and focus on the highest timeline, and don't try and force this on other people, right? Because they're on their own journey, but be a bridge, bridge to higher consciousness, be an extending hand. If they want it, they will take it, and just be that bridge, embody that, and it will happen. Because the more you focus on yourself, there was a timeline long ago that my mom was on that side, and
right.
now they, on the 4-4 meditation, for the first time in her life, she transmuted with her hands and felt compelled to do that. And speaking to her guides, and if you knew how far she's come. And that's because we continue to shift timelines. And I finally got to a timeline where here she is, and my dad as well. So
that's amazing.
It works. And just focus on inwards focus, and creating that higher timeline, and it will align.
Right. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And then we'll move on. We have divine transmissions. Yay. She's awesome. How are we going to speak about timelines? How are we going to move timelines? And which one are we on now? Natalie. Yes, Natalie. Thank you for that.
So we have this past meditation and the previous one before closed a lot of negative timelines. We closed the AI timeline. We closed the reptilian timeline. We closed all of those negative timelines. We are now on the highest timeline. Now, you can very quickly take a little side detour if you're not careful. So focus on your highest self, focus and embody that love in the highest timeline, and continue manifesting. But love is like a feedback. So when you project it out, it comes back to you, and you just do this little awesome feedback loop of love. So just keep going, and you're going to continue on in the correct timeline. And those timelines are closed. So you go off, but you're always going to come back because there's only one main timeline.
It's amazing. Highly reassuring.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it really is. And awesome. We have another one here. Shashi 1111. I'm grateful to hear from you. I'm wondering how the quantum energies are participating with us, or if for us, I tap into the quantum field to heal my clients with amazing results. I'm a holistic health practitioner involved in using highly unusual ancient remedies and techniques. The quantum field truly fascinates me because I have witnessed firsthand it working in the most incredible ways. Thank you.
So the quantum fields, we all each have our own auric and quantum field, so to speak. So I always liken it this way, right? It's kind of like the placebo effect in your mind with regards to your health. If you take a pill and you believe it and it works, that's because, and it was a placebo, that's because you believed it. Well, the same thing works in your body, right? We are projecting these avatars, these human forms. And I've gotten to the point now where I don't feel my human body almost at all anymore. I have to like remind myself, like, maybe I should have a bath. Like, I don't feel any of the sensations, and I barely eat anymore. I absorb energy through my wearables if I'm really tired. Yeah, you just can learn to take energy from the quantum field into your auric field. I mean, it's all around us. Everything is energy. Yes. And we're evolving to a point where, just like other beings that have evolved past the need to eat and consume and, eject, we don't need, we'll eventually never need to do that. We'll never need to consume food anymore. We'll just be able to absorb energy and take what we need from the auric field, from the quantum field. So
absolutely, that's amazing. And I've heard some of like Bashar's channeling sessions from way back in the day, him talking about, I'd heard someone ask what is it like, do you eat in your society and this, and he goes, no, we gave that up a long time ago. It's just no need.
Lower density, I mean, you're taking and imbibing flesh, doesn't matter if it's animal flesh or vegetable flesh, or you're taking in other energy, and when you can absorb it literally from around you, I mean, why not do it that way?
Exactly. And it's pure source. I mean, it's untainted source energy, which
quicker,
is just
and less messy.
Yeah, totally. I love that. Quicker and less messy. Definitely. And then so we got, okay, cool, we got one more here. Let's see. She says, this is coming from my husband, so this is a big step for him. This is awesome. He would like to know how you begin to explain all of this to someone without coming across too crazy. There are so many things intertwining that it can be overwhelming to explain and mistaken for something else.
Yeah, it goes back to what I said earlier at the beginning of the live about how even somebody who is at the beginning part of their ascension, or they just have like an inkling that something is changing, right? They don't know. And they're very much in the reptilian part of the brain where it's like fight or flight, the fear, survival, all of those things. Well, that's the beginning stages. So you just have to relate it back to them kind of in their density, Things are changing around. You can see the changes, right? You don't have to go into the extreme explanation, scientific explanation of what's quantum entanglement. Don't go there. Just tell them things are changing. We are shifting. You can feel a shift, and this is the great change that the Mayans were talking about. It wasn't the end, and the apocalypse isn't the end. It's the change. It's the end of an old paradigm and the beginning of a new. That's it. The world's not going to end.
Right.
It'll end if you know it.
That's right. Wow, Mina, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. And it's been, honestly, this has been so much fun. And I love just sitting here chatting with you. I could do this all day long, and we can continue to dive deeper and deeper and have fun with this, which we definitely will be doing in the very near future, which is awesome. So,
well, thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. Oh my goodness. This mi casa es su casa. Was there any like parting message, anything you wanted to share as a parting gift?
Yes. So, like I said before, focus on your highest timeline. Continue to go to the meditations. We're going to have another meditation for 2323. I
Mm,
think we'll probably do it at 4. I keep getting 4 as being the magic number. So it'll be 4 p.m. Eastern time. Um,
awesome.
Join us any way you can. We'll restream to all platforms and focus on doing your inner personal meditation, focus on your manifestation, keep your thoughts as full of love as you can, because remember, you're a creator God and you're a creator being, and you do manifest things, and your words matter, and
Yeah,
what you think matters. So just create the world you want to live in.
beautiful. Beautifully said. You're awesome, Mina. Thank you so much. I appreciate you and I love you dearly. Unconditional love, gratitude from my heart to yours and all loved ones.
Yes. And thank you to everybody who joined. I have no idea who joined or how it was going, but hope it went great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And maybe if there's a way we can all get a recording of it and post it, or we'll make sure that others get to see it as well. So,
Yes. Thank
yay.
you.
Thank you, Mina. Love you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your evening.
You too. You too.
Talk to you soon, sister.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.